Hi everyone, and welcome to my process video here on YouTube. I want to take a moment to let you know that the process video that you are about to watch is from one of my classes that was formerly available on Big Picture Classes. Any references within the video to class content, written instructions, or downloads will not be available for this particular process video. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. I will try to assist you in any way that I can. In some instances, I will try to provide downloads to you and make them available in my Etsy shop. And if that is the case, you will be able to see that at the end of the video with my Etsy shop logo and a link to where you can purchase that particular download. Thank you so much for your interest in my work. Now let's go ahead and get started with some memory keeping fun. Hi everyone, and welcome to my lesson about the whole story. And I'm going to show you what I'm working with today. The first thing is my journaling on a 3 3/4 by 8 1/4 page, both sides. And I've already typed that up in Photoshop Elements ahead of time. I had a lot to say. I'm going to use a full page photo as the first page. So that's going to be the left side. And then I am going to use these two patterned papers to support my story. This one here, and then this one has numbers on it because my story is about school. The base of this whole project is going to be a piece of cardstock that is cut to 8 1/4 by 11. And I'll show you what I am going to do with that piece of paper to create a really awesome pocket in order to store some additional photos and memorabilia. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to use my paper trimmer to cut out two small pieces of paper, 3 3/4 by 4 inches each. And these are going to be a part of the construction of the pocket that I am going to create. And this is going to be the accordion kind of pocket. So I'm going to score these pieces on the 4-inch edge, and I'll do that every inch. So you'll see there that it's like 4 spaces or 4 pieces that I kind of fold into an accordion back and forth. And I will do that to both of those pieces. And you'll see in just a few minutes how that's going to come to pass. This paper is my 8 1/4 by 11. I am going to score this at either the 4-inch mark or the 7-inch mark, however you decide to look at it. And this is going to actually fold in half. And this will create the pocket that I speak of. So here it's folded in not really half, I guess. I'm folding it at the 4-inch score. And then I'm going to use this piece of pattern paper to make my background. And I'll hold it there nice, making sure that the flap closes on it without being obstructed in any way. And the paper I'm using just a little bit larger, so I'll trim off the edge to make sure that it matches the 7-inch background that I created. Then I'm going to want to cover that top part of the flap with a different patterned paper. And that's about 4 inches. So I'll kind of mark that just to be sure with a pencil so that it lays nice on top of that cardstock. I'll trim that to 4 inches. And then I will adhere that to the top of that flap. And you'll see here that I mess around a little bit because it's just a hair shorter than the cardstock. And it started to bug me. And then I decided that I was just going to move along and adhere that to the top. Okay, so that is the outside there. Let's work on the inside. And you'll see here, this is where the accordion pieces come into play. So I will adhere the accordion piece close to the edge, but not too close to the crease. You need to leave a little space there so that the flap can fold closed. I'll test that out here. Looks good. Then I'll go ahead and I'll put adhesive on the top pieces and hold them down as I close the flap. Put a little pressure there to make sure, and there you go. That is my little accordion pocket. I'm going to do a little bit of decorating here. That is a circle piece from an Ali Edwards story kit. I'd like to place that kind of coming out from behind the flap. And then you'll see here, I want to put a circle on top. So I'm going through the different circles. How do they look? Am I happy with them? Do I want to continue with the color or with the different patterns? And I'll continue to kind of putz around with that a bit. I adhered the circle down with some paper, and now I'm going to cut some holes. And I realized that it was too thick. So I used the holes in my journaling piece to mark the spots where the hole should be. And then I use my punch in order to punch those holes out individually. So I'm still kind of moving around here. I have a plastic piece that says yes, and I am going to put that on top of the blue circle, which is the one that I chose. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere that blue circle to the top. So it's going to be over the outside of the pocket. So then I'm going to just kind of add a couple embellishments here. I have chosen a little chipboard piece that I want to adhere under my journaling. And I'd also like to stamp the date. And I love this little stamp. It is from Ali Edwards, and it has the cutest, tiniest little font ever. And so I'm going to just kind of place that chipboard piece there and then stamp the date. And then I will go ahead and adhere this chipboard piece, which already has adhesive on it. And here are the things that are going to go inside. So some photos. I have some Valentines, a handwritten note, and a bunch of thank you cards that came from students. So these are going to go inside of the pocket, and that's why it expands, because I knew I had a lot of things to put in there. And now I know that I need a way to keep this down here. So what I've decided to do was go ahead and use some of these really cool magnets that I got from Amazon, and they are designed for clothing. So they're in these little plastic holders to be sewn into material, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use scissors to cut that plastic off. Now, the placement of these little circles, one of the magnets is going to go right on the other side of that overjoyed circle. So I'll just kind of figure out where that's going to lay. I'll use a little score tape for it. And as you saw there, the magnets are really, really strong. So they definitely attract each other. Watch. Picked it right up. So I know exactly where I want to put that magnet, which I am putting on the complete back side of the spread so it cannot be seen. Mark a little spot there, which I probably don't need to do because it will stick right to where the other magnet is. But I put the mark there, and then I'll put the other magnet. See, there you go. It sticks very, very nicely. And you can see things do not fall out. So here you're going to see that I tried to use my hole punch to punch holes into my photo, and it was too thick to use the journal card there, and I ended up not being able to do that. So I just marked some spots on the back of the photo, and I was able to just punch right through the photo only. So I'll just fuss around a little bit here, putting a piece of score tape to hold that plastic piece down. I'll put all of my things inside of there. And again, some of them, if they're in the way of the magnet, it's perfectly fine. It will not keep that magnet from doing anything other than sticking to the back side of the other magnet. It's pretty strong if you do use these types of magnets. So I decide now that I feel like something's missing from that top flap. So I'll take everything out, and I pulled out these phrase stamps, and I'm hoping to curve this phrase stamp around that circle. So you'll see that what I usually do is get a stray piece of plastic and kind of use a Sharpie to draw around the circle that I want to stamp around onto that piece of plastic. And then I'll hold the plastic behind the stamping block, and I'll just use that as a template to kind of form the stamp to go around that circle. So I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'll always do a test stamp, in this case, just with some black ink, and I'll stamp it. And then I will see what it looks like on a regular piece of cardstock. At first glance, I didn't really like that, so I kind of messed with the stamp again, inked it up again, and did another stamp. But then I kind of felt like that wasn't right either. So I fiddle a little bit and kind of decide now that what I'm going to do is reposition it a little bit once again. And then I'm going to get my stays on ink. And eventually you'll see I'm going to actually stamp on another piece of craft plastic. So here's that part. And with the stays on, I'm able to actually stamp on the plastic. Now watch how I stamp. And now I could actually take this and hold it to see what it really will look like. So this is kind of where I decide I'm okay with it. And that was just something I discovered a couple weeks ago when it came to curving these stamps around a circle. And here you'll see that I then go ahead and I stamp around that circle, and there you go. So that was a cool little tip to be able to do that kind of stamping. You will also see in my photos of this spread in the lesson that I ended up adding a few embellishments to this full page photo. And so that was after the fact. You can check that out in the lesson. For now, I just want to show you the way the pocket is going to lay inside of my album. With those holes going into the rings, it's going to make that pocket about a ½ inch less deep than it was prior to putting it in the album. And so that will make all of my little goodies stick out just a little bit more than they did before. But I'm really okay with that because I like the idea of the viewer being able to see that there's goodies there. I also like that this journaling page here is about a ½ inch shorter, and it lets you see the pocket a little bit more. All of these little items can stick out. If you choose to use the magnets that I did, the magnets are strong enough to go through a couple layers of paper or photo paper. And with that magnet on the back, it definitely keeps everything closed and nice. And so here is everything done. And the only thing I did, like I mentioned just a few minutes ago in that last part of the video, was add a chipboard banner and a little chipboard star to my black and white photo. And I thought that the green on the banner and the red on the star just brought a little color, and also with the yellow words. So that was fun to do. When you flip over that little insert, there is my journaling. Again, I started on the front, went to the back, and then on the right-hand side, you see my pocket with all my fun goodies inside. And it's just, I love it. I love a way to keep ephemera all in one place in my album. And here's a close-up of some of the ephemera just sticking out of the album. So there is a lot in that little pocket. There's a lot of stuff in that little pocket, and it's such a joy even now. It's been 2 years since I created this spread, and I love going through my albums and pulling out those little pieces of memories from that particular school year. Okay, thank you so much for following along with me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and we will see you guys very soon in the next video.